Hello, good evening, Bears, and welcome to Rangers Radio, where we celebrate a Rangers win of 2-1 from last night's game. Apologies there was no show last night. I think everybody was away enjoying themselves at the match. Tonight we've been joined by Jim. Jim, how are we getting on, bud?
Evening, mate. All good, thank you. All positive after a good win last night. A nice win in Europe.
I like that, mate. The positive, and I think that's what most of us was hoped for last night. I think a win would have been nice, but a wee bit of positiveness in the sense of we've seen a performance that we recognise. I think last night, Jim.
Yeah, better. I think before the game, if you said you're going to win this tie 2-1, everybody would have been over the moon. But then was it one of them after 20 minutes? Everybody suddenly thought it'd be a cricket score because it was such a good start. I'm not too sure. Maybe left a few people feeling flat afterwards.
I agree with that. I think overall, especially, we'll take it in sections, but I think, like you says there, the way the game panned out with them going down to 10 men, I think it was more frustration rather than, like, say, Saturday. It was more, I would say, anger because of the way the players performed the full game kind of thing. I think even the players last night and the fans were just frustrated that we didn't add to the score so early on. Thoughts, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I think more disappointment and anger. Like I said, we're going to go through it in sections, but especially after the start, and then obviously their goalkeeper's gone on to make a couple of good saves. A few things didn't quite go our way, but no, all in all, positive result, and we move on to the next.
Right. Well, I'll give you my kind of thoughts, mate. So I would say we started pretty brightly, considering from Saturday's performance, showing greatness going forward, good pass movement, and we've got our just rewards early on with Todd Cantwell chasing down a ball. I mean, Lammers puts it into the box, and Cantwell again starts the game, shows why he should be in that team week in, week out for me. And chases down a ball that he eventually gets a penalty for, and you hear those beautiful words, penalty to Rangers, and Tav steps up and puts it away, gets his 102nd goal. And then I think we're in total control there, Jim. I think we move on with Borner. Borner's playing really well down that wing. He gets the ball in, puts a lovely ball in, and I think Danilo actually helps in the sense that he makes the defenders go to him, and it leaves Dessers open to just kind of nudge the ball in the back of the net. Now, I think a lot of people say he was lucky that it just kind of ricocheted off him and stuff like that. But to be fair to the guy, he didn't panic. He did move his body just to place it in the back of the net. So again, great to see him getting off the mark, mate.
Yeah, great goal. And I think if we start with, obviously, I think the more promising thing about the first goal on the penalty, I thought the passage of play to actually lead up to the penalty was really good and probably the best we'd seen in the first, if you like, of the competitive matches. Lovely, nice bit of passing thing. And Todd Cantwell, like you said, just showed why he should be in the team. Nice and sharp. He didn't rush right away either. If you watch him, he waited for the guy to take a touch. Sort of stayed out of his eye line slightly, waited for that touch, and then knew he could nip in front of it. And there was definitely no doubt that it was a penalty. And then obviously moving on to the second goal, great cross from Borner, almost a trademark cross if you like. And I think you see there the beauty of having more than one man in the box. Like you say, Danilo sort of gets across the front post, puts the defenders off, and then, Dessers does what he has to do. We've seen that bounce off many a striker in the past, so good to see it go in the net.
Yeah, like you said, mate, great teamwork and goal, and we looked more like a unit there, I think, during that period of play, right up to that bit, and I think, again, total control. And then probably the next kind of chance that sticks out for me, Jim, is the kind of round about the 37-minute mark was when, for the back, surprisingly, it's Danilo. Danilo plays a beautiful ball to Raskin, and then they start that move forward, and Danilo, Raskin, then Dessers, and then onto Raskin again, and he plays that lovely ball through to Lammers, and unfortunately for him, he does a wee bit of Van Bossen and does the finish it. But I don't know between him thinking he was offside, and that's kind of how he was half-hearted with it, or do we just say that he was just murdered?
I think in hindsight, it's murder. It's one of them. He maybe, like you say, lack of concentration for a second. Maybe for some reason thinks the pass could come a second earlier. That's definitely not the case when you see it. It's a great pass from Raskin, isn't it? And then I think they said it in commentary. I think he's just gone with the wrong foot. Obviously, he favours with his right, and letting it come across him with a pace, he's made an arse. He's just had a tangle, hasn't he? And it's just gone wide. But like you say, it's kind of, even though we were playing well, obviously 2 early goals, and then that was, we had a couple of halves and a couple of not bad efforts, but that was our next clear chance, wasn't it? And then probably just tilted. It wouldn't have put the tie to bed. That would be disrespectful to say. It would have only been, if you like, maybe 3-0 at quarter time, but it would have put us in a really strong position.
Yeah, and it shows you that, like I says, these kind of things, you need to take your chances, because no long after that, I think it was about 40 minutes, is when Servette put that kind of swinging cross in, and it was dealt with. That was the thing. The sad thing about it was dealt with well. Butland comes out and again takes it and deals with it, and we move on. And the next minute, I don't know about you, I honestly thought it was something like a clash of heads or something like that when the ref stopped the game. I thought he was just got to give the ball back to us as a kind of bounce up, but then VAR popped up, and I was like, how can he be checking for VAR? There's nothing happened, because Servette and even Rangers weren't claiming it when that ball went in, and it just shows you. To be fair, I think it was a penalty because of the rule, but it's very unfair in Dessers, because it's like anything, isn't it? When a ball's coming in that fast, you're turning away from it. And I think even Dessers confirmed earlier that it did ricochet off Borna. So you're in no man's land. And for what the players have been told with that as well, is that if it's a ricochet, then it's no counted as a penalty. But similarly, the referee was adamant that it was. So you just got to go with it, and it's just a bit unlucky, especially when we had the momentum at that point.
Yeah, it seems to be a bit of luck. I think we got that rule sort of needs to be either clarified or we get a bad bit of luck. Because I think I remember 2 seasons ago in the Europa League, and I think Goldson got done for something very similar. It might have been 2, might have even been 3. It must have been 2 ago. It popped up off a defender, and then I think it hit Goldson in the hand, and we got a bad bit of luck. But then there again, I was actually in real time. I was slightly worried because if you watch it again, you actually see maybe 2 or 3 of their players, and they look quite adamant that it hit a hand. You could see with their reaction, it wasn't half-hearted. But then, because the game sort of, I don't know, carried on for a good 30 seconds or a minute without a stoppage, I kind of forgot about it. And then as soon as it stopped, obviously, once they start talking, you know it's not good news.
No.
And then, like you say, you go from being 3-0 up and cruising to panic stations. Well, not panic station, unfair, but you're suddenly back in a tie again, and it's competitive.
It's like you says, mate. There was nobody surrounding a referee or anything like after that. That's why I was really surprised with it. But anyway, we go into the half time, and it's 2-1. I think overall, most of the fans were probably expecting, like I says, to come out and have the same kind of performance as the first, because to be honest, mate, I think we controlled it really well. I think we showed that we were a better team throughout that half, and again, we go into the second half, and again we started well. 53 minutes, I think Tav, he fires in a good cross for Lammers, and how that goalkeeper saves that shot, that first.
Yeah, it was some save, wasn't it? With the pace it was going at him as well. The pace that it moved, you don't think in a replay it looks maybe doesn't do it justice, because it looks quite standard when they slow it half down. But of how quick that crosses, and then how the way that Lammers just sort of diverted it, he done really well to get across to it, to be fair.
And it seems to be that we always pick these goalkeepers in European games that turn up. Even this guy, he's a backup goalkeeper, and yet he seems to have the blinding game of his life against Rangers. They always seem to kind of turn up at this point, because I think Lammers any other time is burying that. You know what I mean? But anyway, a bit of unluck, and we push on, and then the big moment of the game for me is the 60-minute mark. The challenge on Cantwell. Boy gets his second yellow card, sent off with a red, and for me, I thought it would be easy street, Giant.
Yeah, I think this is where sort of, if you like, because when we came out at half-time, obviously they got a little bit of a lift as well, but after, say, 3 or 4 minutes of a little bit of back and forward, Cantwell got caught and got booked. I didn't think we looked for the first couple of minutes, maybe still a bit unsettled, but once we got hold of the ball, everyone, right, we were back in it, and then they get a man sent off, and you think, right, okay, we're ready to go here. We'll push on. We've just started dominating the ball the last 5 minutes. But I think what will worry people maybe is that we didn't change our approach slightly. I think people might have been looking for something a little bit different. Obviously, this goes into the discussion of shaping things again, but maybe after 5-10 minutes, if you're not with 10 men and you're still not doing anything different, maybe you should be looking to try something a little bit.
Aye, especially like I say, just looking to your bench, it's a classic, isn't it? And 9 times out of 10, Beale's right on the mark at that 60-minute mark, isn't he? Wanting to swap up a player, and yet last night he held off a wee bit longer. And like I say, you've got players earlier on that bench, like say Hadji and stuff like that. You could have got on a wee bit earlier, but there's nothing much from my end of things that I could really add to that second half. We huffed and puffed. I think Dessers had a nice shot again that was saved, but again it was right at the keeper.
Yeah, from the corner from Tav, wasn't it? Was that the one Tav sort of put in from the corner, and then Dessers on the move? Yeah, it was a bit. And live, it maybe looked like at a similar standard to the Lammers save, didn't it? But when you see it again, it was a little bit more bog standard. He would have been upset if it went in.
What I say is that there was just, you could see even Cantwell was right in about the game. By the way, fantastic game for him last night. Brilliant to see him get the man of the match. And I think he even noted on his Instagram that's obviously his first kind of Champions League game for him. And so, I mean, for him, just solely, it was a fantastic night for him. And it just shows you how important he is to the team, JM. I don't think we've got any other signing that's came into the club so far that's at his level. He totally bosses the team in the sense of, I seen him at the back, he would grab the ball and move forward. I think that Lammers chance, it was him moving for the back of the back four and eventually strolling right up to the front three. So a fantastic game for him last night, Jim.
Yeah, it was a great game, and even makes you don't want to keep looking back, but make Saturday seem even more baffling, doesn't it? Why he wasn't starting, but no, he started the game sharp, didn't he? Obviously, winning the penalty done well, and then like you say, constantly picking up the ball and just being that bit deeper. But what's great is 1 minute he's just playing little 5-yard passes, knocking it, and then the next minute he's pinging it, he's running through, he's got everything about his game. So hopefully he now just gets a good runs of games. I mean, he's fit, so we don't need to stay fit, but keep on top of things, and we can really see Todd Campbell like we saw at the end of last season.
Right, well, kind of give our kind of overview. It'd be good to hear the manager's thoughts on the game, and then we can obviously start picking out individual players. So we're going to hear from our manager, Michael Beale.
Michael, well done. Good assess that in the end.
We started really, really well in the game. I thought the energy from the team was good in and out of possession, and the desire from the first goal from Nico and Todd to chase a couple of lost causes down really was fantastic. Borna Barisic, who I thought had a good night, put some great crosses in, and playing with obviously the two number 9s gives you that opportunity. You get Danilo goes across the near post and still scores, and in that moment we're in a great place. I thought after that we were wasteful. We could have gone 3-0 in front, then the VAR decision on the penalty. I think it's harsh, but that's the ruling. The second half, their keeper made a fantastic save from Sam and from Cyril, and we had other moments again where I thought we were wasteful on a night where we played well, in my opinion, for a long period of time.
How big a frustration is that then ahead of next week?
Well, I think what it does, it keeps our wits about us. We know it'll be difficult going to Geneva. It's going to be a full house, and we'll see a different game like we always do in Europe. But I wouldn't never knock a win in a European competition because I know they're so difficult to come by. I think as a team, it's something I've said a lot as a Rangers manager, but now it's just with new faces that we do a lot of good things. We create numerous opportunities. We have to be more decisive, and I'll give our forwards at the moment because they're new coming into the club and it's early in the season, but we keep creating chances like that. We'll have to take them if we want to put teams away.
Is that better building blocks today, Michael? Further improvement, do you feel, especially after getting the weekend out of your system?
Yeah, it's been a tough few days, and I thought the players approached tonight really well. I thought they were dominant in the game, and they pushed and pushed and pushed. It's more like what I want to see from the team. There was more forward running, there was more higher pressure. We'll approach the game very similar next week. I think obviously Genk will have to go for the game, and it will mean it's going to be an open and really good tie. But if you look around Europe this week, there's interesting results. So I'm pleased to get the win. We need to focus strongly now on Livingston before we think about next Tuesday.
Was it a little bit frustrating you didn't make more of that extra man for the last half an hour, Michael?
Yeah, the keeper makes 2 fantastic saves, and yeah, if we come in here and we score the other 2 goals, then you're really happy. But there's a frustration, but it wasn't for want of having the ball in the right areas and having the right moments. I think there's a lot of frustration next door, but we have to leave that. We won the game, we go there next week, and we'll have to be at our best.
There's a couple of reports today about different players in terms of Ridvan Yilmaz. Was that he might be leaving. Can you clarify those rumours? And also Harry Souttar's reports tonight saying that you might be interested in bringing him in from Leicester.
Nothing in either of those to report this evening. I think Ridvan is very, very happy. He's lost his best mate, Fashion Sakala, but outside that, he's extremely happy and he'll return to training next week. Harry Souttar, there might be a bit of lazy stuff around that because his brother plays for us and I believe he follows our club, but if there's any news on that, you'll be the first to know.
Michael, in terms of the first half, the press, the tempo, much more like it. Is that what you're aiming for now from the team? And obviously it's going to take time, there's context around the new signings, but is that much more the kind of standard you want to see from the team? Yeah,
look, we're never going to use it as an excuse, but the reality is 13 or 14 players left and 9 came in. The reality is Danilo's trained with his teammates 4 times. He had a pre-season which was all over the place because of his move. Jose's trained with us twice. Tom Lawrence is coming back, Kamal's back. We're not the sum of all parts right now, but what I want to see from the team is more forward running and more energy. I thought Nico and Todd gave us that from midfield tonight. I thought it was an exciting front three. You can see they're finding connections. They're trying really hard. I thought they pressed ever so well in the game, and I think they'll get better with it. You can see that certainly with Cyril and Danilo, they're still getting up to full speed. So we're not going to use any excuses. That's just the facts of the situation. There's been a lot of change in the football club. I think we're set up well, but I'd rather us just keep showing it on the pitch.
Was Todd Cantwell's performance a big positive for you? Obviously he didn't start on Saturday. That caused a lot of kind of conversation amongst the support. He was in tonight. I thought he had a great game.
Yeah, listen, I thought the game at the weekend might open up. Todd was fully aware and up to speed. Again, he was someone that had some things in pre-season that wasn't ideal, but there's no doubt about me and Todd. From the moment I met him and we had the conversation down in London about him joining the club, me and Todd are completely on the same page, and I thought he was good tonight. He's played very well in a number of positions for us now.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Yep, as the jingle says, let's hear from you. Phone lines are open, so give us a wee call. Let us know how you felt about the game last night. Did you feel that it was a more Rangers performance? I know the second half wasn't pleasing for a lot of people, but this is the first half for myself. JM was more like a Rangers performance, and I think the manager agreed.
Yeah, the one thing you can say about Michael Beale, he's always very fair when he speaks after the game, isn't he? Maybe sometimes too honest and too fair for some of the fans. It can frustrate us a bit when he pretty much says what he sees. But yeah, 100%. I think he was happy with how quick we started and whatever. And, you know, not pulling wool over his eyes, he would have liked another goal at least, I think. And I think he knows that. But rightly so. Like I said, we were quite wasteful at times, weren't we, in the final third, and got a bad bit of luck with their goalkeeper.
No, it's in a sense it's good to know that the manager's seeing the same things that we're seeing, and like I said, the wastefulness. I think that second half. Do you know the frustrating thing about it was that Kilmarnock game, they sat in, they were organised, they didn't let much through, whereas I felt last night in that second half, especially around about the 70-minute mark, let's say Cantwell and stuff like that, there was good play. But the manager touched on it. These new signings are still just no connecting yet, and it's just because obviously they're new in the door. But we need these relationships to kind of become more streamlined quicker. Because last night there was chances created. There was one I can remember. I can't exactly remember the minute yet, but it was the second half, and Todd Cantwell does a kind of 1-2 Lammers. and Lammers just doesn't get the pass away to Todd Cantwell to put it in the back of the net. And Todd Cantwell's kind of continue his run into the box. It's stuff like that, like say last night. I think even I felt sorry for Borner, because there was a lot of time Borner was running down the wing and he's screaming at Danilo to pass it to him, and Danilo doesn't see him, and he plays it to Lammers, and Lammers sometimes as well is just chipping it straight into the box when Borner's sitting open there ready to ping it in. Again, that will just come with understanding in game time, JM, do you think?
Yeah, it's got, has it? These players have all got a blend, like you say. He's saying now. I mean, a couple of them have only had not even a half dozen training sessions with people. I mean, I get everyone's footballers, whatever, but they've got to get a chance to understand just what everyone's doing, the certain movements or whatever. I thought, touching on Borner, I thought Borner was actually very good last night. Especially, I thought when we were playing our best, he was probably our best player. I thought in the first half he was really good, putting some good balls, kept making the runs. A couple of times he wasn't picked out, and then there was a obvious one in the first half where I think Danilo was just caught in two minds, wasn't he? Sort of tripped over the ball at the edge of the box. Borner had ran about 60, 70 yards to try and get up there, and then the poor bloke's got to try and run back. But no, that would come. The one worrying thing for me is maybe, so that's the Kilmarnock game. Obviously, they sat back for 90 minutes. And if you like, the last half an hour since the sending off there, that team sat back for 90 minutes. We've not scored a goal.
Yeah.
Two teams, where their position isn't even maybe 40 yards from their own goal. And the Kilmarnock keeper never had to make a save, and we're forced in that last half an hour one good save and one standard save. That's a worrying thing for me.
It's a trait that's never really left Rangers since even Gerrard's time, I think, JM. I think it seems to be that we always look for this perfect goal, and sometimes you just need somebody to grab the ball and just run with yourself and hit a dig. You know what I mean? I think the players sometimes are just trying, like we've seen it last night, like I says, we've seen them close to the box and it was a lot of 1-2s and stuff like that and movement, but we're just trying to pass it in the goal, and it will eventually come back to haunt us. It did come back to haunt us at the weekend there. And like I says, we've kind of left ourselves open a wee bit going into the away tie against Servette that is only 2-1, because let's face it, they did have about 6 players at their team due to either injury, suspension, and the government to stop them from entering the country. So
we done everything we could.
Handshakes and everything to stop players getting in. So I think you will see a different team. It's going to be at home for them next week, but to be fair, overall, I think Rangers have got enough there to see it out of the line, JM.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think maybe like we said before, if they're half a dozen players out or whatever, and they're coming in there, maybe going to try and get hold of the game. Maybe that will suit us as well if they come out and play. That I think you saw there in the first half, especially how dangerous we can be when we counter. A lot of pace, a lot of quality will make chances, and it might actually work in our favour if we can. Not suggesting we're going to go out there and we want to sit deep and go for an old school sort of snatch and grab, but if we can just get hold of the ball, counter quickly, it might work in our favour.
I've heard some people say that next week we should go out and be more defensive because we are got the lead, but to be honest, I really hope we just go out and play the exact same way we did in that first half, because seeing Raskin and Cantwell being the two for the midfield going forward and Jack sitting last night was fantastic. That's the kind of football I want to see. I don't want to see Raskin sitting back in a midfield. I want to see him pressing forward, because you've seen the quality, like I says, with that Lammers miss, the quality that boys got as well moving forward. So sometimes we're not using the quality of these boys in the right position, and I'm hoping Michael Beale is starting to see as the games are progressing, like say Cantwell. I think Cantwell had a lot of freedom last night to move about the pitch, and like I says, Raskin was linking up play with forwards a lot more. So I'm hoping that's a thing that becomes the norm going forward.
Yeah, definitely, because I think sometimes when you sit, especially them two sitters, if you've got Raskin or whatever, I think this saying sit, I think it makes a lot of players play within themselves, especially players like Raskin, who can drive forward and definitely can see a pass. And when he gets forward, he doesn't look out of place. All right, maybe it's not quite there, the final, but he doesn't get to do it a lot either. And if you have him and Cantwell going at defenders, and then you've got the 3 forwards up there and whatever, it gives the team something to worry about. I'd like to think we're not going to go away there next week and sit back deep and invite pressure on. I like to think we're going to go out exactly like we did last night there, try and take the game there and take the game away from them.
Just to go back to Cantwell, man of the match performance, did they want it, mate?
Yeah, it was you were picking that. If you like, you were picking that man of the match for the first 45, wasn't you? And then he did get stuck in and try and get hold of the game in the second half. Obviously, winning the penalties, he took a sore one for the sending off as well. Shook that off, got stuck in. I thought it was fair. I personally thought for the game it was between him and, even though I thought the two centre backs actually strolled the game and done nothing wrong, I thought the pick of the man of the matches was between Cantwell and Borna, and obviously Cantwell, fair enough, got it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What do you make of the manager's comments there in that interview, saying about Cantwell had a couple of things during pre-season? Is he more talking about his performance there, or is he meaning that the two of them have had a kind of a discussion about where he's going to play this season? Do you think there's been a wee bit of a tiff there at some point?
Yeah, he can't work it out. He just says things, doesn't he? And then I wouldn't have thought of a tiff until maybe afterwards he sort of clarifies to say, we're okay now, doesn't he? Not we're okay now, but he sort of said nothing wrong between me and Todd. I mean, I think it's fair to say, I don't think Cantwell had a good pre-season, but yet again, I don't think many did. But I think the run of games he had last season in the competitive games, there was no reason for him not to be in the side because of pre-season. It wasn't like three other midfielders really stood out. He might mean, I mean, he's constantly got a bandage around his wrist at the moment. Maybe he means he's picked up a slight knock. But yeah, again, he played a lot of the games. I'm not, to be honest, when I heard that, I wasn't too sure what to make of it. Possibly, maybe. I mean, a couple of the younger team, if you like, they seem to be a bit on the social media. Maybe he's been told to. There's been a couple of cheeky things on there if they're like 56 on the shorts. Maybe he's just been told, reminded of his responsibilities. Actually, let's get this one first, and then we can start maybe gloating a bit.
Yeah, I kind of was going down that route. I was thinking he's maybe had a wee kind of dressing down a wee bit, especially with the Kilmarnock thing. See the comments coming out saying that he wasn't. He didn't think Cantwell was ready for a game like that and stuff like that. That's like alarm bells. That's like there's clearly been something wrong there, and saying that he hoped that the Kilmarnock game was going to open up for Todd Cantwell to go, and you're like, come on, like that you seen last night for the start how well the boy can play and stuff like that. And to be honest, like I said at the start of the show, he's the only signing we've made that I think is of so far Premier League level. You mean the boys that have came in, they look talented. Maybe Raskin to a certain extent's up there with him, but I think Cantwell was definitely on another level than if he most of that squad.
Yeah, he's took games on his own, hasn't he? Likes to get involved all over the pitch or whatever. Maybe the other thing might be, maybe Bill said to him, because especially last season when it wasn't maybe Bill's squad and it was trying to get around it, Cantwell was doing everything, wasn't he? He was up front trying to get the goals and he was back trying to get the ball. Maybe Bill's just trying to rein him in just to start playing a position, trying to say to Cantwell, we've hopefully got talented players all across this pitch now. You can do your one specific job. But I agree with you. He's the only one. Raskin, obviously, as well. He looks like an improvement on what we got. But on first viewing, he's still the only signing that's sort of, if you like, proper pass marks. I want him in every week so far.
He's the type of player that's came in, like I says, for me, that can just change a game. I mean, he's always looking for the ball. He's always trying to drive forward. He's tracking back again. It's brilliant. So it's not as if he's like a kind of one of these guys that sits up the front and waiting for the ball to come to him. He's always the one that's, like I says, trying to create for us. So long may it continue, mate. Long may it continue. Other players, John Suter last night, getting a lot of praise off the BBC commentators. I noticed. I don't know if they're trying to pitch him into the Scotland team or whatever, but I think it was warranted. I think the big man was grabbing that ball and he was driving forward a little bit, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was good again, wasn't he? I mean, obviously, I thought apart from I know it sounds silly, apart from the goal on Saturday again, I thought he was really good on Saturday, and he was really good in pre-season, and he just took off again, didn't he? He's really good driving forward with the ball. I wouldn't want to get in the way of him when he starts running, that's for sure. He's some unit when he gets going. But he strolled the game, didn't he? One ball's in the air, obviously got caught out with a booking, edge of the box on the counter, half gotten away. I think the boy bought it a little bit, the way he sort of jumped into him. I don't think he was getting around him anyways, but no, done really well for the goal, driving forward, got involved. And then apart from that, I think one of the good things is when you don't really notice him too much, he sort of just got on with the game, done what he had to do and gave the ball to the midfield.
And the thing about the card as well, it's like picking your moments into it. I think he kind of knew if that boy did get away, then it is leaving the motor at the back. So he knew he kind of probably take the card at that point in time. But again, some of his, even that says the way he was driving forward, his passing play. I think there's one. I think the first half he grabbed the ball and he passed it out to Borna, and I'm like, oh my god, he looked like a midfielder. So really promising, especially when he's playing that left side of defence as well. It's everybody knows that's not his natural position, but he's holding the shirt there now, and I say it's long may it continue, because we're needing a settled partnership at that back again. JM, do you think? Because I think that will help the team settle more. With these partnerships we're trying to build at the front, I think we're still trying to find partnerships at the back.
Yeah, no, we're looking good, isn't it? Like you say, I'm sure he'd prefer to be on his right-hand side, but that's Golson's role, isn't it? He's got that, and again, he was really good last night as well, done nothing wrong. If we can get them to a run of games together, and that's going to be, if you like, that's going to be our two. If them two stay fully fit, from what I've seen, we're not going to have any issues if them two are playing. Long may it continue that John Suter stays fit. He seems to be comfortable, and keep it going. He's looking really good, Suter.
Right, well, like I says, it's a phone-in show. It's all about the Bears. How do you think we are? Are we progressing? Are we showing signs now that the Rangers will be recognised? Is Beale starting to get the tactics right? Is the players starting to buy into how he's setting up now? How long away do you think it is to that front three totally click? Give us a call.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
JM, Cifuentes got some minutes last night, and from the little, not so much little time, he did get a good bit of the time on the park. From what I seen last night, there's a lot of promise there. I enjoyed how he was putting a lot of these Civet players on the ground, and they were moaning as if to say it was a foul, but the boy was really, really smart in how he was winning the ball back after them and putting them to the flare as well. Looks a good promising signing, this one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, to be fair. I liked it was how easy he seemed to win the 50-50s. He looked really strong, but also a lot of different players in that midfield, they can get carried away and, they think winning the 50-50s giving a foul away, something like that. But he was always concentrating on the ball, coming away with it, making a nice pass. But no, there's definitely, we've seen it, like you say, a cameo, like you say, but I think we're getting a flavour there of the kind of player we're signed. Somebody who's going to win the ball, spread it, and also looks like he's got a bit of pace for a midfielder as well. I like what I saw from that little cameo.
Again, I can't remember the exact minute yet, but it was near the end of the second half, and he was in the corner flag, and he won the ball back after one of the Civet players and drove forward, and I was like, brilliant. He didn't panic. He was. And he was always looking forward, like I says, to a player, trying to make the good pass and stuff like that. And I think even, like I says, close to the manager's area, he won a ball back there and stuff like that. So, it was a Jack substitution for him coming on, and I think he didn't do himself any harm. I think just like I says, for him, it's going to be mere game time. I hope the language barrier's not a problem for him, especially like I says, coming into kind of our dressing room. But no, very, very hopeful, and like I says, it looks as though he'll be more than capable for our league. Yeah,
definitely. It's the physicality is a key thing for our league, isn't it? And he doesn't look like he's going to shy away from that. It'd be really good. It'll be interesting to see how Beale's going to try and sort of feather him into the team, because obviously he's not long off the back of a season, is he? I think it was maybe a 2-week break or something he had, came away and came over. So I'm not sure how they have to manage that in regards to fitness and getting back up to speed, or if he's already at speed and they're just trying to sort of let him see how we play. Because obviously, like I said, I think he said he's only had 2 training sessions with us. So it'd be interesting if he gets how much time he gets on Saturday. Does that go into next Tuesday? And when he's going to be up and running. But no, I'm excited to see him thrown into the midfield as well.
I think especially for him, that's one of probably the biggest things from when he was signing for Rangers, that he's going to like feature in these nights, these European nights, Champions League qualifiers. I mean, the boy must be sitting in dreamland. 1 minute he's playing in the MLS, and the next minute he's playing a Champions League qualifier. I mean, it's probably one of these things that he's been dreaming about. And to be fair, like I says, he didn't embarrass himself. He came into the game. He was listening to Tav. I noticed Tav was talking to him quite a lot through the game. So I'm really hoping that he does get settled into the team. The only thing I've noticed is that if he does get his international call-ups, is that we'll be missing him quite a bit. So we might be seeing Mary Jack in that kind of role.
No, that's the thing, isn't it? But you've got to take the positives in that, don't you? If he's getting called up for his national team, he's doing something right, isn't he? So hopefully, if he is getting called up, that's obviously a good thing for us, because it means our midfielders doing the job, and can't wait to see him get a good run of games together and hopefully improve our midfield slot.
Brilliant. I think, mate, see, to go back to the tactics last night, and it's amazing when you start playing football against a proper footballing side. We've seen at the weekend there the criticism of wing backs, Scott, that they weren't moving the ball quick enough, they weren't getting up the pitch, etc., etc. But it shows you, like say last night, when the tactics are correct, because Tav again was back to putting good balls into the box, corners. One thing I think they've listened to the fans is that the whole taking a shy and stuff like that, moving the ball, getting the ball back into play quickly. I did not see Tav once run through one side of the park to the other to grab the ball for a shy last night. I seen Connor Golson taking shies. I seen who else was it? I think it was Ian Dessers or something like that at one point taking a shy as well. And so I think what it says, that's probably been knocked in the head a wee bit, because the quickness of getting the ball back in the park last night was good. And I just think it's kind of, we need to be patient in the league. There's going to be teams that's going to just sit in and play disgusting football. And like I says, in Europe, I think Beale's tactics will see us be successful.
Yeah, in Europe. But then that raises a question, doesn't it? Are we going to have to find something different for your Saturday afternoons, because we can't watch what we watched last Saturday again when a team sat deep, and we saw it again in the second half a little bit. No, I agree. I thought the team obviously came out and really went for it. You can see the tempo. They'd had a rocket, haven't they? They've had a chat about it. Maybe Golson and Tav as well. They've gone, look, this isn't what's expected. They came out. They look quicker. It did look better. And like you say, it's good to have a team coming onto you. Like you say, Borna had a great game. And, he's getting stick, always passing it backwards. But I wouldn't mind seeing, when he gets the ball in a position, who he's actually got to pass it to. These times where he's getting stick, he's only passed it backwards. Well, let's see what's in front of him first. Is that a shape issue? We'll have to see. But no, in Europe, I don't think we're going to have any problems shape-wise. I think tactically, when these teams are sitting back, I think we're going to have to look to try and get some width into the game some other way than the fullbacks.
Do you think, JM, what probably is the team as it stands now, considering, like I says, the players trying to get match fit? I think the manager touched on his presser, but Danilo, his pre-season's been pretty up in the air, because he wasn't sure whether he was staying or going. So I would imagine when he's been sitting in Feyenoord, he's not been really wanting to put the fit to the flare. Do you think the team's probably running about 65% now, and that eventually, just as the weeks are going to build up to this kind of Old Firm game, that we'll probably hit a peak, hopefully, just right at the right time?
Yeah, I think so. Unfortunately, you say that, and rightly so. That won't flow with people. It should be good enough, shouldn't it, from the start? But I think in the back of Bill's mind, possibly on Saturday, he was thinking that starting 11 should have enough to get through past Kilmarnock, whatever the tactics are, shouldn't it? We're paying them players a fortune that are supposed to be at a level. If they applied themselves, they should have got to it. But now, obviously, we're on the back foot a little bit. But yeah, I'm liking to think by the time that first weekend in September comes, there can't be any excuses in regard to fitness or sharpness, can there? They would have had a good half a dozen or so games to play with each other, competitive games. The new signings will be in the door. Hopefully, you'll see us up at 100% by then.
You make a good point about the games. Like I think that even the manager said that it's not so much on the training pitch now. They're needing games together. And I think last night we've seen the two sides of it. We've seen the first half a team that was what's the word? I was going to pull out a big word there, but I can't think it now. We're in cohesion for the first half. and the second half were a bit disjointed. Like I says, players just not on the same wavelength yet with each other, especially the forwards. That's a funny thing. Like, you can see that the midfield are got a vision for a pass, and the other boys are just no switched on. I mean, I think Big Seema came on last night as well, and he had a kind of couple of shots in goal, but they just wasn't ready for it, Jim. I don't think a lot of the time. I think the pass came to him and he was surprised, if you mean. So
yeah, there's quite a few of them ones when you're playing they're playing like it looks like the guy's just passed it out the park, but he's obviously seen something or thought he should have seen something, isn't there? There's a few of them. What did you make of them changes last night? You said Seema coming on. What did you think when Dowell came on and where he played?
Again, I think it's just he was just chucking players on. Jim, I think like it's his weird Dowell was packed into the midfield. Even like Scott Wright coming on and stuff like that. I understand he's putting guys on just to maybe run at that defence and stuff like that. But Hadji as well. Like Hadji, I think I've said in the show, I think Hadji should have been on sooner just to help that creativeness. We probably Cantwell, to be honest, because these are the two boys I think that have got a pass in them that can open up a defence. And Seema just seems to be that kind of way. He's just no in sync yet either with the team, which is worrying because we've got four up front signings that can't link together yet, and the games can't come fast enough for them to gel.
No, yeah, I think also it's kind of not. It's not only that like going on down to people. Obviously, he's chucked on Dowell, he's chucked on Hadji, he's chucked on Seema, he's chucked on Wright, but it's into the same positions. It's kind of like plan B's do it, plan A better again, isn't it? He didn't change it because I thought in the back of my head, I thought when they went down to 10 men, I thought at least he could get Scott Wright's on the bench. Why not get Scott Wright out wide, play a bit of width? But in the back of my mind, I was kind of thinking, maybe he's not putting him on because he might be getting transferred, but then he puts him on with 5-10 minutes to go anyways. And then that gets rid of that sort of doubt in your mind. So then you're thinking it's obviously a tactical decision not to make any of them changes until the last 5-10 minutes. And that kind of worries me a little bit because it was quite obvious we were running out of puff for creativity in front of goal.
Yep. I think that was the thing with a lot of them. In fact, we'll touch on it. We're going to hear from Dessers, and you're saying about running out of puff. I think that will kind of clarify a wee bit. So we'll hear from Dessers now.
Cyril, congratulations on your first goal for Rangers. What do you think of the night overall?
Yeah, first of all, thank you. It's an amazing feeling to score your first one for Rangers at Ibrox. The atmosphere, the fans were they're amazing, like I said. Overall, I think it's a good night for us. Servette is a good team, is a tricky team. I saw them over 2 legs against Genk, and Genk is a very good team, and they knocked them out, so you know what's coming. And you could see that today as well. I think we dominated. We could have scored more maybe, but okay, this will keep us on our toes for next week.
What do you think of your own performance levels, fitness-wise? Is it getting to where you want it to be?
Yeah, of course, I came in later, so I still need some time. Especially this was the first time I played more than 60 minutes. So after that, the first until 70 went good, I think, and then I got a little bit sloppy. So that's a thing to learn from, and just to get more fitness. Overall, I think I had some really good moments. Sometimes sloppy, but I think that's all part of it. And yeah, I'm happy with this performance, and I know I'm gonna grow. And me as an individual, but also in the connection with the other players and as a team as well. So I'm confident of that.
How frustrating is it that you're not going over to Switzerland with a bigger lead after the way the team played there tonight?
Yeah, of course, if you can choose, you want to go with a bigger lead. But like I said, this will keep us on our toes. And in Europe, you don't get anything for granted. You cannot take anything for granted. And we will need to go there strong, and we will need a good performance there to hopefully knock out Servette.
Cyril, how did you find playing up front with Danilo starting together for the first time?
Good, actually. I liked it a lot. Together with Sam, Danilo, and then the guys coming off the bench. I think they're all really good players, and then it's easy to play together with them. And we get a lot of freedom from our gaffer, and we need to use it. And like I said, like this partnership, this relationship has to grow. And I'm sure it will grow, and I think we can benefit a lot from each other.
We spoke to Daniel last week. He said you spent a little bit of time together at Feyenoord. Can you tell us a wee bit about that? How much time did you have with him before you left last year?
I think that was really like only one week. Of course, I know him from the Dutch league, and he's a really nice guy, as well as how he came into the locker room. He's a delightful guy. He's a good player as well, and I think it can be very exciting if we can grow as a partnership, and hopefully we can both benefit from it and both score goals and be important for the team.
Did you feel unfortunate with the handball, or what happened?
Yeah, the handball is really unlucky. But what's confusing for me is last week we had a meeting with the referees, and they said like, yeah, if it's deflected over a teammate and then it touches your arm, then it's never a penalty, and it deflects like 1 meter in front of me on Borna Barisic's head, and then it hits my arm, and so I was 100% convinced that it wouldn't be a penalty. But okay, anyway, he gave it. You have to turn the switch and get back going. It's unlucky, unfortunate for the team as well, because we had a big momentum at that moment. But that's football.
You get big momentum as well. So how important was it to start like that tonight, given what happened at the weekend?
Yeah, that's what we wanted. Of course, after the loss on Saturday, suddenly we were not a team or anything like that. So we knew we had to come out here strong, show to our fans what we can give them, what we can do as a team. And I think like especially first half hour, I think we showed that, and that's only the beginning. I think we're gonna grow in fitness, in relationships, in as a team, and then it can be I think it looked very promising.
To the loss at the weekend was obviously quite extreme. Is that something you expected coming to Rangers? Is that something you're used to?
At Feyenoord I was at a similar club where the fans can react very emotional, but that's what you want. You don't want to be at a club where everybody just shrugs it off after a loss. No, you want an intense club, and you get it in a positive way, like today, when you play good, and that's what we need after a tough loss. Then you get a reaction. And in a big club like Rangers, I think that's normal.
What are you expecting for next week in Geneva?
I'm expecting a tough game. Like I said, I saw the games against Genk, and at home they are a dangerous team, a tricky team. So we have to be ready, and I'm sure we will be ready. Hopefully we can get going or have a start like today, where we grab them by the throat, and hopefully we can score a fast goal, and then we can get into our game, get some confidence, and grow into the game.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Brilliant, cheers for that, Fox. I do love a foreigner interview.
It's quality, isn't it? It's good, isn't it?
Especially when they're trying to find the translation in their head for words, and it obviously comes out as a sweary word and all that. And I mean, I've heard that interview on I think one of the Rangers media, and they don't bleep it out and stuff like that. And then it's funny that Rangers have to bleep it out because Dessers doesn't know that it's obviously a sweary word that they're here.
A slight slip of the tongue from the big man. But he said what he felt, didn't he? He knew it a bit of emotion. He said what he felt.
I admire that, especially that says when he was talking about Servette. He says we're going out there to do what we've done in the first half, grab them by the throats. But you know what I mean? I like that. I like the boys understanding the club. You can tell for that interview there that at the weekend that the players have walked away and knowing that the fans have turned around and says that they were crap. I mean, that day, and it's good to know that he's got an understanding that level is just not acceptable. Whereas I think is the night that the fans would probably accepted the result. Performance could have been a bit better, but at least they're seeing signs of progression there.
Yeah, he's spotted. It's good to see they understand it. They're not trying to kid anybody on, are they? Maybe a little bit surprised. They would have been really disappointed as well, rightly so. They're prepared for pre-season, and they've gone for it, and they've been caught out on Saturday, haven't they? But they've came back. I like it. Des has come back with a bit of bite. He's came in it, and he's got a goal. He says he wants to get up to speed. And obviously, like he says as well, people forget he's come from a club. Them Dutch fans don't mess about either. They don't get away with anything over there. If you're not performing for them teams, you'll get found out as well. So there's no doubt the big man gets it. So fingers crossed he can kick on and look a bit sharper and start adding to that goal tally.
Mm-hmm. From what I can see through the social media, fans forums and stuff like that, there is a bit of concern about Dessers and him being the kind of number one striker, the Alfie replacement, JM, and he's honest with where his fitness is at the now. I've got probably no doubt that the big man will get better. I think last night's game you did see touches, but it does look as though he's still kind of towing the caravan, as they say. He's still not just got that kind of burst of pace to get away from a player.
Yeah, no, I think it's one of them. The question is if Alfie was putting in performances like that at the back end of last season, people wouldn't have stood for it, would they? But we know this bloke's getting up to speed. He's not fit, and at least we're seeing some effort. Like you say, we're seeing quality from him at times. We're seeing touches. He's obviously a sort of a back the goal striker, play the way you're facing. I think there was one in the first half. Did you hear the massive groans? He got given the ball in about 30 yards of space in the circle, and he just gave it a 10-yard pass back to the centre back. But if that's what we're going to get from him, then we know then he's going to be that target striker. Feeding off, get some pace around him, get some quality, and then hopefully when the chances do fall to him in the box, he's there to tuck him away.
That pass, I know the one you're talking about. It's like an Alfie reincarnated, because they do that kind of blind pass, side pass, and no look to exactly where the player is and stuff like that. And JM, you make a good point. If Alfie had turned up in pre-season and he wasn't fit and ready for the start of the season, we would all be on his back. To be fair to Dessers, though, I think he did say when he was signing for Rangers that he was just coming back from an injury. So I suppose we've all got to kind of cut him a bit of slack and give him that time to get back for the injury, get fully fit, and then we'll see where he's at. But again, he's shown up front for me the intelligence, a good striker, especially that says with the way that ball fell to him last night for his first goal. He could have panicked. He could have tried to swipe at it, and it might have not even went in the back of the net. But he kept himself calm and he just kind of guided it into the back of the net. A kind of moment like what Roof done a couple of seasons back again in Old Firm, where he just kind of chested it into the back of the net, didn't he? Even have to think about it, kind of just placed it in the back of the net.
Just that sort of composure, and just sort of like that calmness that there's a guy that knows where to go. If you like, and it's right, we can compare him to Alfie. Obviously, it's a like for like swap, isn't it? He wasn't a natural finisher, was he? Everything that he'd done was 100 mile an hour, swiping at the ball, or whatever. He would have probably tripped over that one there. But whereas that this is middle of the goal, saw it, knew the guy was missing it, knew he couldn't get his feet out of the way, so just guided him with sort of the top of his leg, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. The thing I think about Dessers and why we signed him is that I think Alfie at times when he was maybe through and goal 1-on-1, he would end up either blazing it out of the bar or he'd put it right to the keeper. I think Dessers has got that wee bit extra about him, that if he is fit and ready and firing, I think if he's 1-on-1 with a goalkeeper, he's burying it. You know what I mean? So time will tell with him. Like I say, he's at a big club. He's clearly wanting these kind of Champions League nights and stuff like that, European nights. So I think last night would have done him the world of good, especially with the way the team Servette played. They're no mugs, JM, the Servette. They are going to be a tricky team to play against next week, and especially with a home crowd.
No, they're good. So I think just hearing the commentary there and obviously seeing their past results, they're a team, whether through luck or resilience, they never seem to be out of games. And I think we're going to be aware of that, aren't we? And if they're having, I can't pretend to know the half a dozen players they're missing, but obviously if they're missing it, that's going to add to their quality a bit more, isn't it? And that's going to test us. But maybe that's what we need, playing against that better quality opposition, and we'll even become better ourselves. But no, a good run for Dessers last night. He's putting the yards in, and no, I'm sure the big man's going to come good for us.
Yeah, I like the point you made there that it was good for us to have a good test against the likes of Servette, and maybe, and as much as we want a cushion going earlier, it would have been nice to be going earlier 4-1 up. I mean, with the 2-1, it is going to be a hard testing game, and it's probably what Rangers need at this point in time, especially like I says, when we're trying to build partnerships and stuff like that. I think, see if we went earlier and it was we just had to coast and see out the scoreline that we had back here. I think you wouldn't really learn anything from it, whereas Rangers are going to have to go there, and I think Raskin touched on it. Rangers need to go there and win the game. You know what I mean? And so I think it's going to be another good run out for Rangers when they go there to play Servette.
Yeah, no, that is the thing. They know they're in a game, don't they? The players are in a game. They're not going to be stupid. I think, like you said there, I think the fact that it's going to be a competitive game long term might help us out. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm there. I'm not saying I didn't want that game to be 3-4, 5-0, especially when they go down to 10 men. But another competitive game in the legs. Maybe over there, players applying themselves properly, not tinkering the squad a little bit, might do us a lot better longer term, especially when we get it over the line.
Aye, definitely. Like I says, more minutes in legs, more, like I says, hopefully. Do you think the manager will stick with the forward line as he done? Because I quite like this Danilo, Dessers and Lammers partnership. I think that's no harm to Sima. Sima, I think, will be involved in bits and bobs of the season, but he's no other player, and I would much rather have the likes of Danilo and Dessers up front, because as we've seen for that goal for Dessers, Danilo did drag the two defenders with him, and it did create space for Dessers to put the ball away.
Yeah, no, I think as fans for a long time, one of our complaints, especially at home when teams are sitting back, is we had all these players. We've never had enough men in the box. Tav and Borna have been throwing balls in that sometimes look aimless, but also it's hard when you've only got one man to hit, and sometimes there's 3 centre-halves sat there. But when you're adding that, Danilo going across the front, you've got Lammers sort of maybe, if you like, being 5 yards back, just sort of hitting any peel-offs or anything, and then Big Dessers in there as well. At the moment, they're the three I'd like to see keep playing. I think Danilo's maybe, even though his came-ins looked a bit sharper than Sima. And obviously Lammers has looked really sharp. And then if you liked, well, at the moment, the other issue is Dessers is the only number 9, isn't he? At the moment, Fit's not, Roof's not 100% fit yet by the looks of things, not in the squad, maybe getting back, maybe he's trying to save him. But if you like, we've somehow left ourselves with one. I mean, Danilo's obviously going to play up front, but I don't know if he's an out-and-out striker. I've not seen enough of him yet to know that. So if you like it at the moment, by the way, we've only got one number 9.
We'll come back to that. In fact, Danilo is one of the players I want to talk about, because he did play a lot of different positions last night at that part. So we'll come back after the tune.
Yep, look forward to it.
And marching on through the years of history, heads held on high. How far the jersey they will do or die. Oh, fight, fight for right. Play the game with a badge of glory. We'll lose or draw. Well, that's the Glasgow Rangers story. See them march on, banners high as they fly before you, loyal and true. On the wing to cheer the boys in blue. Oh, follow they will, marching on through the song of glory. We'll lose or draw, well, that's the Glasgow Rangers story. you seen the Glasgow Rangers? Have you seen the boys in blue? Well, they're admired by all who know them. If you knew them, so would you. For they have played in Monaco, they have played in the USA. But the greatest game in history is the game on New Year's Day. For it's the home of famous heroes, and their praises they have been sung. Willie Waddle, Tory Gaelic, Alan Martin and George Young. And when all my life has ended, and when death has made its mark, will you scatter all my ashes on the slope of Ibrox Park? And what the angels I'll be singing up in heaven, they're up above. I'll be singing, follow, follow, to the Rangers that I love. And with my flute I will be playing in the valleys and the glens. I'll be happy and contented when the Rangers win again. See them march on, marching on through the years of history. It's held on high, up for the jersey they would do or die. Fight, fight for right, play the game with the badge of glory. Win, lose or draw, well, that's the Glasgow Rangers story. See them march on, banners high as they fly before you, loyal and true. On the wind to cheer the boys in blue, oh, follow they will, marching on to the songs of glory. Win, lose or draw, well, that's the Glasgow Rangers story. Win, lose or draw, well, that's the Glasgow Rangers story.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Right, well, back. You're back, JM?
I'm back. I'm here, ready to go.
Good stuff. I think we've joined our first caller. I think it's Callum. You there, Callum?
How we doing, boys? You all right?
Good, mate. Good, mate. Thanks for phoning in. Mate, happy with the improved performance last night?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think during spells, I think if we come up against teams that, you know, I suppose can push forward and can try and get a goal, I think we're fine. I think my worry after the Kelly game, and whether it's just, you know, first game of the season and whatnot, the worry for me is obviously we get Livingston at the weekend. Are we going to be one of those teams that's going to be able to break a team down that's got 11 men behind the ball? But, you know, it's still early on in the season, so we'll obviously keep plugging away and fingers crossed for improvements.
JM, we are the most probably unluckiest team that we signed 4 forwards, and none of them have hit the ground running. I mean, it's other teams seem to be able to get at least 1 out the 4 to be able to tick them there. But we've signed 4 and they're just not up there yet. But like I says, there's hope after last night that there's signs there. Like say we were touching on before the tune that Big Danilo, the boy is a workhorse. He was, like I says, he was back in defence, and he managed to, like I says, create a chance for us with the likes of the Raskin Lammers chance.
Yeah, no, I think Callum's spot on there, isn't he, with all the concerns? I mean, we seem to be the only club that seems to be able to get forwards that don't come in and fire in right away. I think, like we said earlier, that's obviously the Kilmarnock game. The team sat back, not a goal. Second half there against 10 men, not a goal. We're just looking for a bit more creativity, aren't we? We're just looking for a spark, someone who's going to put the ball away.
Callum, is that maybe doing to the manager and maybe his backroom team that's something even his backroom team need to look at, because the manager is only one man. That they're a coaching team, so it's up to them as well to give the manager kind of, I don't know, advice, different tactics for these moments, like he says, with teams that are sitting in a bit stuffy. It's like I says, maybe Seaman needs to be on more a kind of winger role. I don't know, mate.
Yeah, potentially. I think from what I've seen of him so far, and in reality, he's joined a new team. A lot of these players have never played with each other. Like you have got to be patient. Like as the fickle football fan just expects that every single player and every team that wants to bring in X amount of players, they're just going to flow and they're going to be world beaters. And in reality, that just isn't going to happen. I think with Big Seema, it's like you watch him running, it's like he's treading water sometimes. But again, you've got to trust Beale. He's obviously seen a lot, and Brighton signed him. Again, I know that isn't always the blueprint, but they typically sign players that are either decent or they've got the potential to be good. And again, some of them will never get to that level, but I think, yeah, he's definitely got a lot of potential. I think from watching the Kilmarnock game, it was they were showing highlights on the BBC Scotland programme for the game last night, and it was you can see someone in midfield, I can't think off the top of my head who it was, and you've got three front players all just facing towards the ball. There's no one coming in short. There was no one going wide. It was all very, I suppose, static and stationary. But again, these things take time. I think you can see the way that Beale's trying to play. Again, he obviously hasn't signed players with pace, which again, I think a lot of fans, including myself, is also a bit of a worry when you have players like Sakala. But I'm confident. I think I look at the game last night. I think Lammers, I think he looks a really, really good player. Danilo again looks quick. Obviously, wasn't as sharp with his finishing, but again, I think Beale said he's trained twice with the team. So yeah, I'm still positive. I'm still really confident we'll have a good season. But like one of those things, time will tell.
Jay, do you think as well after last night it kind of proves that we don't need two sitting midfielders? Like, is it time, like say against Livingston at the weekend, that it is time to let that handbrake off fully? I mean, we need to play with two attacking midfielders and that's his one sitting. And I'm quite happy for it to be Ryan Jack all day long. It'd be the one sitting because, like I says, that Raskin-Cantwell partnership was really good last night.
Yeah, I think it's definitely time to sort of move away from if you've got that three midfielders, for it changing to sort of, if you like, a 4-2-3-1 to definitely a 4-3-3 to two attackers, two bits of pace. I think you're spot on there. I think if Ryan Jack can, the big question is if, isn't it? If he can stay fit for a season, we're not going to have any issues with Ryan Jack playing in that holding role. He knows the game. He knows the Scottish game. He plays good passes. He's aggressive, and he's also going to let, if it's going to be Cantwell and Raskin, Cantwell and Dow, the new guy Cifuentes, if it lets any of them get forward and almost lets us get five in attack. And also, like Callum was saying there, maybe that will, well, like you're suggesting, maybe that lets us, if we can let them other two centre midfielders get higher, it lets the front three, it lets two of them get wide. Maybe that'll provide us a bit more width and a bit more attacking. But I think last night showed if we get two centre midfielders going forward, we're very dangerous when we get on the attack.
Cal, mate, thoughts on that?
Say that again, sorry. I literally ran and grabbed the drink. Apologies.
No, you're right, mate. No, but we're just saying about the whole Cantwell and Raskin, no being this kind of sitting midfielders or the merely attacking midfielders, and we said, like, say, Ryan Jack last night, to be fair to him, I think he had a fantastic performance last night, and it's just about keeping him fit, and if he's got to be the sitter, then I'll have him sitting there all day long.
100%. Yeah, he was really good. And again, when you compare him to like John Lundstrom, I think it was chalk and cheese. Again, Lundstrom gets slated, and again, I'm not his biggest fan, but I think he does a job when needed. I think, yeah, Jack was brilliant last night. I think, especially when you're in league games, you should only ever need, JM maybe touched on it there, you should only ever need one sitting midfielder, and I suppose two in front should. Again, when you're playing against teams in the SPL, they should be basically playing as number 10s, just attack. But yeah, it's one of those things. We'll see how we get on.
Giant, one player we did touch on earlier was obviously Cifuentes. I think, like I says, he's done himself no harm. I think big man could be pushing for another wee cameo at the weekend.
Yeah, hopefully. I think what we're guilty of is hopefully at home, a lot of the time, especially last season, we don't kill games off early enough to give these boys a run out, especially if they're looking for legs. So hopefully, maybe if he's not fit to start yet, hopefully those who are starting can maybe get us a couple of goals in front, maybe a few more, and we can maybe see this guy for 45 minutes. But no, I really like what I saw. Really like what I saw him aggressive, shifting the ball. Think we can see why Beale signed him.
Yeah, he had a few good touches as well. Just there was one point where he just plucked the ball out there. And again, I know that doesn't make someone a good footballer, but he looks solid.
I can't. I think that's what's got to ask him. He does show that sign of technical ability. I mean, it's it wasn't they him Sands, but sometimes when Sam said the ball, it seemed to be as if the ball was going to go under his feet all the time. I mean, whereas last night when I seen Cifuentes come on, I was probably watching him more than most just because of all the hype that was running about him and stuff like that. But I think that says when he came on and I seen how he was tackling, he wasn't like he didn't give the referee an excuse to give the player a foul. He knew how to be smart about getting the ball back and stuff like that. And
yeah, there was one in the corner, I think, towards the end in the corner.
Yeah.
He gave a shoulder charge of some sort, yeah.
It was stuff like that. Like, I'm like, well, that's what we need in our league. I mean, we can't have guys coming in full force putting players, because, again, teams like Kilmarnock will just drop to the flare like the wall, you mean? And I think Cifuentes is, he seems a bit clued up in that area, which is desperately what we need in that kind of sitting midfield. But again, for what I've seen, Cifuentes is a guy that can drive forward with the ball as well.
He does look creative. Yeah, exactly. I think we do need that. Again, Raskin maybe can play that. They're similar to, I suppose, Campwell, where they can sit, but at the same time, as we say, in the league, you need someone that can drive with that ball and take on a player if needed and make that final pass. I think the thing with me that I'm just looking forward to over the next weeks, months is just, I think last season we were so reliant on certain players that in reality, if they had a bad game or a bad 2 or 3 games, I suppose they became untouchable. I think we've got so many options now that you hope that players look at it and they're like, look, if I don't play 8 or 9 out of 10 every game, I'm going to get dropped. And I think for me, it's just something where we've got so many options. And in reality, you look at even the front line, you've got Danilo looks good, Dessers looks good, Roof's coming back. In the midfield, you've got Tom Lawrence that hasn't really been spoken about. Obviously, he's been out injured for a while. And in reality, on paper, I'd say he's, from when he played, obviously at the beginning of the last season, it's been a while since he played. I think, in my opinion, he's one of the stronger ones. And in reality, there's no guarantee that he's going to play because there's so many options. So, yeah, it's exciting.
JM?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Cal's spot on there, especially about the competition, whatever. But what else I've noticed about his shine is not only has he brought in more quality, but he's recognised that the league needs that aggression, doesn't it? None of these guys, I know Raskin's small, but none of these guys are scared. They're all built. They're all they've got that quality, if you like, that we're going to need in Europe, but they're also got that physicality that we're going to need for our league, for 38 games a season. So I like that as well. I know you don't always need big bruisers, but I like the fact that all of them look like they like a tackle, and they all look up for the challenge on that aspect as well.
You're talking about big bruisers. Our goalkeeper, I felt last night, and in the Kilmarnock game, to be fair to him, has been doing himself no harm. I think he's
Nico 2-1.
I think he's been pretty solid for us. And again, he had some testing moments last night, but he dealt with it really well. And for the 2 goals that he's had in against him, one at Kilmarnock, nothing he can do about it. And again, last night, it's a penalty. Again, the boy took the penalty really well. So, Bolton for me has not really put a fit Ryan.
No, I agree. For me, I think it's always good. Look, McGregor's obviously a legend, but I think that I always used to. It was never short stopping wise. It was unbelievable, but when it came to commanding his box, coming for corners and stuff, it always used to worry me. But I think Butland, he looks big. I hope that obviously I haven't seen too much of it, but I hope he's going to be one of them that the corner comes in, goes near him, it's his ball. And I'd say the fact that we've got a big team, again, fingers crossed, you'd hope that, we're in for a better season when it comes to the defensive side of things as well.
Butland, he's no fear to come out and grab that ball early doors, isn't he? Sometimes I'm biting my nails when he's out that far out hitting the ball.
Yeah, not only the catches, that one against Kilmarnock as well when he come out and done that big slide tackle. What was that, about 25 yards out the goal? Just think, you just think when he comes out. Yeah, no, that's all positive, isn't it? You've got obviously a bigger defensive midfield for the goal, and then you've got big Butler in goal as well. But the other improvement, obviously, I don't know if it was just McGregor coming of age and maybe a slightly different generation of goalkeeper, but Butland's distribution as well. I think that's going to help us out when we're trying to move quick, and also when we're looking to maybe turn teams, especially at the start of the game at Rugby Park. A couple of long balls just over the top, just because he's got that in his locker, and he can also pick a pass. So I think with the crosses and the distribution, hopefully we're going to maybe see a slight improvement in that.
Like I say, the set plays and stuff like that, I've noticed he's right out there right away, up there to grab the ball and just kill it. You mean, and even the simple stuff when he's rolling the ball out to Golson, it's a calm, controlled roll out. It's not just launching the ball at a player. So he seems to have a bit of all-round technical ability in that area as well, Callum.
Yeah, no, 100%. As I say, look, he's made, I know it was a few years ago, he's played for England, he's played in the Premier League, he's obviously got something. As I say, I've always rated him. I always think for me, you just want a goalkeeper that's got a bit of size about him. And as I say, it looks, from what we've seen, albeit not a lot, it looks like his distribution's good. He'll command his box quite well. And as I say, you just, again, being the keeper at Rangers, you're not, especially in the league, you're not going to be expected to do a lot. But like we saw with McGregor, it would come up in the big moments. So again, like a lot of these players, the time will tell. There's going to be big moments, even when you look at next week. Hopefully not, but you can imagine there's going to be a time where he's going to be called to step up. He's going to need to make that big save. I say, fingers crossed, he can come up with it.
I was kind of hoping when it came to the penalty bit that was going to be his kind of big moment. He's kind of like, he's what do you call it? He's settling in, but for Rangers like that. But he takes the box and he's here. He's made it kind of thing. By the way, what do you? I'll go to JM first on it. What do you make about the kind of headbutt situation? Do you think he should have made a wee bit more of it?
I'm glad he never, in one aspect, because if our 6'5" goalkeeper that we've just built it up went down for that, I think we'd be in bother if he went down like that. But I'm glad he never. But with the way you see VAR and everything, and I noticed sort of Golson and Butler and both letting the ref know. Or maybe, I don't know, I'd have to look at the raw. I'm half surprised he didn't have a look at it, because the bloke definitely sort of nodded towards him, didn't he? So I'm not sure. What do you think, Callum? I'm not sure.
It's a tough one. I think I didn't actually notice it at the time. Like, I didn't notice it. I didn't. My dad actually texted saying, "Did you see the little headbutt?" But I hadn't noticed it, and then saw it in the evening. I saw it again this morning. Yeah, I agree with JM. I think it's if he goes down there again, it's a slight worry. But again, the letter of the law. Again, I'm similar. I don't really know the official rule, but it kind of went head to head, and there was a bit of a push. But is it one of those grey areas where it's? I think with a headbutt, it's either a red card or nothing. And is it? Yeah, I don't know. I would be.
Yeah, you can't give a booking because it's a soft headbutt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think if it was against us, and one of our strikers had done it, and he gets sent off. I don't think you would probably complain, because you gave the referee a decision to make. But yeah, I think it was the right decision.
For me, it was one of the ones. It was the referee was standing right next to it. I did think it was good in a sense, Jim. That's where I agree with you. It was good that our keeper kind of stood up to it and just stayed professional, if you know what I mean, about it. And like I says, I'm not saying we should just stand there and get players head butted and stuff like that, but for all it was why they kind of brush across his face kind of thing. And like I says, I think our keeper was kind of hoping that the referee would have just went and looked at it and maybe just sent him off that way rather than our keeper having to instigate it kind of thing. It was one of the things, and it was an incident in the game. I was just wanted to bring it up just to see what the thoughts were on it. So that says overall we're talking about our wingers and stuff like that. Our wing backs. Do you think now that there's a kind of understanding there that the players need space, they need help, like they especially like say Borna. Borna takes a lot of heavy stick, and yet last night he was the one that was a kind of shining light. How do we get the fans to kind of understand his role, especially like I says when we're playing against teams in the SPFL?
For me, I think, especially Borna, and again I understand it to an extent, but I think the majority of his criticism comes from his performances in the Old Firm games. That's my opinion. And you see a lot of fans saying they want Yilmaz in. I thought Yilmaz was hopeless during pre-season. Was at fault for a few goals. In reality, I've not seen a lot of him that I think he's that good. And again, I could be completely wrong. I still think Borna, although he has sometimes got a mistake in him, I still think he's the better left back of the two. But again, like a lot of these fullbacks, the modern day fullback, they're not necessarily that good at defending. But I think when you play Borna in the right way, like last night, give him the ball, give him space down the wing, let him drive forward. He's got a great cross on him. But as I say, for me, I think a lot of the stick that you touched on just then, I think a lot of that has just come from his performances in the Old Firm, and the stick is understandable, and I'd slate him for it as well. But I think he is a little bit hard done by sometimes.
I think, like say Tav and Borna, they are open to criticism, especially with some of their antics at times. But when you've got a solid base to work from, like say a Connor Golson, hopefully a John Suter's got to be the kind of mainstay there. I mean, like I says, we have seen in times when these boys are supported, like say Borna and Tav, it does work. It's when our kind of defence seems to switch off that these guys seem to be kind of not so much hung out to dry, but they are left open at defensive frailties.
Yeah, they can sometimes be really unfairly criticised because obviously a bit like goalkeepers at the back, unfortunately, a lot of their obvious mistakes sort of leads to goals. But I mean, last night you got both of them. You got a goal from one of them, an assist from the other. It was an open game. You can see what they can do when it was open. I think also, to be fair to more Borna on this one, I know he was injured a bit last season, but he must have played with 4 different centre-halves last season. He would have had John Lundstrom at some points, Ben Davies at some points, Leon King at some point, James Sands at some points. Two of them are centre midfielders and one of them's a teenager. You know, and obviously, like Callum said, a modern day fullback in any team aren't known for the defending. All right, they might be able to sometimes defend a little bit better than ours, but I think the fans can be unfair. The biggest thing is Borna always pass it backwards, isn't it? I want to see in these times how many times he actually has an option forward when he gets it. You see him a few times, especially last night. He's moaning and shouting at players because he hasn't got an option. So, no, I was happy for Borna to put in a good performance last night, and I agree with Callum. If I was asked to pick him or Yilmaz, I'll be picking Borna first.
Aye, Callum, you don't end up being a Croatian internationalist for no reason, you mean? And I think people are saying that both Tav and Borna, their legs were finished. They didn't have the pace to be running up and down the wing all night and stuff like that. And Borna last night, what I says, there was times he was bombing up that wing, and I touched on it with JM that Danilo just didn't see him, and the poor man burst his lungs to get up there to hit a cross in, and that tells me that says there's still more in the tank for these two, and like I says, the experience, you just can't buy it. I mean, as much as like I says Yilmaz shows signs, I think we've touched on the young boy Sterling as well. That it seems to be a nice solid defender and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, our captain, as JM touched on it, stepped up, got us a goal, and Borna created an assist. You can't buy that.
100%. Yeah, I've never known a player to not get so much stick, but be so scrutinised when I think he's still a very, very, very good player. Do you know what I mean? His stats don't lie. He's, in reality, I couldn't tell you the last time he's injured. Do you know what I mean? He's always fit. He's always there. Again, like a lot of players, he can have a mistake in him. But you look, I think he's one of those players that if you took him out the team, you'd realise how valuable he is to us. His stats don't lie. Scores, in reality, doesn't seem to miss penalties. He's got a hell of a free kick on him. His set pieces, are decent. And again, I think, when we look at Bournemouth, these guys, they need the ball given to them, and they need the space created from other players. And at the end of the day, they can put it into the box. If there's no one there to get on the end of it, there's not a lot they can do. But I think we saw last night that when you've got certain players that make certain moves and can, create some space, Bournemouth put that ball in, great ball, and good finish. So, I think a lot of the positions that we look at, I think they probably get the most scrutiny, but I don't actually think it's as bad as a lot of people think. I don't know what you boys think.
No, I agree as well, to be fair. I think, I'll put it this way, most other teams in the league would bite their hand off to have our full-backs, wouldn't they? And a lot of other leagues. I think you might notice that Bournemouth, I mean, people can talk about last year, but if we continue to put 3 men in the box, and Bournemouth continues to play, obviously, I think you're going to notice his assist stats go up as well. Now he's got more men to hit, because even though him and Tav both put in good crosses, I think Bournemouth's more of a natural crosser of the ball. I prefer watching Bournemouth cross it. He seems to always be able to pick out a man. It's more deliberate, if you like. Tav puts in some quality balls into areas at some sort of pace, but it's kind of Tav's more of a hit area kind of man, and Bournemouth's trying to pick a man out. So I think if you get 2 or 3 men in the box, Bournemouth crossing it, I think we'll have a good season with some assists from Bournemouth.
Good. Yeah, it's always it's good seeing that the kind of players answer their critics. I enjoy that side. And another player that was kind of getting a wee bit criticised at the weekend there was young Raskin. So we're going to hear from Raskin now.
You got a 2-1 victory tonight here at Ibrox. What did you make of that game?
I think we created a lot of chances. We should have more goals. That's something we need to work on again and again to be more efficient. But I think we can be happy with our performance. We create good things. We had a good connection. We just had to score more goals and it will be perfect.
It was a really strong start from the squad tonight. Was that the message heading into this game?
Yeah, I think we owned the fans something after the performance we did against Kilmarnock. So we knew we had to go full. The gaffer said we had to go full. So we tried to do it, and I think we did good. Like I said, if we were scoring our good chance, it would be very good.
You spoke about connections there too. With all the new signings coming in this summer, do you feel that's something that can continue to grow as we move forward?
Yeah, of course. Like you said, the new signing, especially forward, we need to adapt and create good connection. I think now we can start seeing good things on the pitch, good 1-2, good pass and run. So it's important to continue, and the goals gonna come.
And obviously it's a positive for the squad to take that advantage next week into the second leg and what will be another tough tie over there.
Yeah, of course, give us confidence. But I think for the next game we need to reset. We need to win over there for sure. We can't just look the score. So we need to win over there, make the drops. Hopefully we can score more goals and try to do the same performance.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Callum, another positive interview there, mate.
Yeah, decent. As I say, I think since Raskin's come in, he's done again, coming to a new league, I think he's done everything that's expected of him. I think we forget, what is he 21, 22? Is he at that age?
Aye, yep, that's right, mate. Aye,
Yeah.
20. I think he's 22 this year. Aye, that's right. Yep.
22. Yeah, he still plays Belgium under 21s, doesn't he? Didn't he scored a couple for them a couple of months ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he scored,
Yep.
didn't he, at the end of the season for him? He bagged a couple, didn't he?
Yeah, so I think he's. Yeah, I think. Yeah, he's done really well since he's come in. I think you get a lot of those like centre mid type players that it's sideways passes, your typical Jordan Henderson, like the slating that he gets. But I think you watch him, he just wants to play forward, just constantly running, try to find a pass. I thought it was a bit quiet last night, to be honest, and similar the Kilmarnock game. But Beale seemed happy with him, and at the end of the day, he knows more about football than me. So yeah, decent player, and I think the challenge will be where he's still young. If he has a good season, the challenge will be keeping hold of him, but fingers crossed.
We do forget about his age, and again, another kind of honest interview for him. He's even trying to get an understanding with the new players, the kind of as he touched on the 1-2s, and he's obviously saying about his manager saying that they had to go full. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it is easy to forget about his age as well. I'm a little bit with Campbell. I didn't actually think he started the game too well. We started when it was quick, but just in possession, I did think he got caught out a few times trying to play the ball forward. Got caught maybe, I don't know, a little bit, not off the paces from a fitness-wise, but maybe the game gave away a couple of fouls in quick succession. Maybe a little later on in the game, one of them might have been a booking. I think the big test is going to be for him this year because if you like last year, him and Cantwell kind of had, I mean, we're in the cups, but they had a free stab at it, didn't they? That we, if you like, after a couple of months, we kind of half accepted the league had gone as a fan base, and they were seen as a shining light. But this year's a clean slate. Every game's going to mean something from the start because the league's still, we're battling for the league. So it's a different type of pressure, especially like we say when we forget he is only 22. So that'll be interesting to see how he sort of shoulders that pressure.
Aye, Callum, Jai touches on something there that when last season was our kind of debut season, and for Raskin, he is a mainstay in that team. Probably it's going to be interesting for him because he's going to be playing nearly every game, I would imagine, for Rangers. The odd maybe rest, like say the Morton games and that coming up, but I think that boy, he'll be touching at least 40 odd games this season.
Yeah, I think so, but I think like I touched on earlier, where we've got so many options, where we don't, this Cifuentes, we don't really know. I think the position that he's played in America, when you come to Rangers, it could be a completely different ball game. Typically, maybe more possession. Again, I don't know how, was it LA that he played for? I don't know how they played compared to us, but I think he should be a mainstay. But as I say, I think I touched on earlier, the bit that I'm excited about is you've got Cifuentes, you've got Tom Lawrence coming back as well, who I think are all relatively similar players. And at the end of the day, they can't all start, which I think is good. Again, you don't necessarily want someone playing 40 plus games a season, and you want other players that you can rely on. But yeah, I think at the moment he's a mainstay, and I expect him to be a mainstay throughout the season. But yeah, I'm just excited about other players coming through that can add that little bit of competition that we definitely didn't have last season.
JM, is he going to be a kind of mainstay for you this season? Do you think he's going to be a kind of talisman, like say alongside Cantwell?
Oh, it's a tough one. I can see. I don't see him being as a talisman alongside Cantwell. I think Cantwell is very unique in himself, whereas I think Raskin's got players that can be rotated. It depends, and also depends what vision Beale's got for him, where he's going to play in that midfield three. If you like, Ryan Jack's 100% going to be a sitter, isn't he? He's not maybe got the legs anymore to go up and down. Kieran Dow, according to Michael Beale last night, he's a right winger, but he's going to be. Yeah, I know, but he's either going to, if you like, I think Dow can play in that sitting role, but he's also, I think, quite a similar player to Raskin. Obviously, but just runs up and down, seems to get involved, so he'll be fighting with him. So it depends if Beale's going to play with a sitter and then maybe Cantwell and Lawrence, Cantwell and Cifuentes, or Raskin's going to be the anchor and that two in front of him. I think, like Callum's saying, because of the amount of players in there, I think you're going to see it rotated quite a bit depending on the opponent and just to share the legs out, because hopefully we're going to be playing, 50 to 60 games.
Callum, do you think, well, as JM touched on there with the amount of players, I mean, we're touching on, you've even said there, Lawrence, we've got Cifuentes, Raskin, Cantwell, we've got Hadji that was on the pitch last night as well, we've got John Lundstrom who's on the bench. Do you think there's still going to be maybe some movement there, getting players out the midfield? Do you think there'll be another one that will want to move on, because it is going to be hard for game time?
No, I think there probably has to be. Now, where that comes from, I think the way I've looked at it, the fact that Lundstrom started the game last week, there's been no talk of him ever moving on. I'm assuming Beale must have been one of those players at the end of the season says, look, I want you to stay here. Again, I think sometimes it is, I do think he does have his moments, but again, you look at the run that we had in the Europa League, which again, what was that, just over a year ago? It feels like a lifetime ago, but I thought it was unbelievable in that run. And you can't necessarily, when someone's had a bit of a bad spell, you can't just, I know it's easy to, but I don't feel you can just forget moments that players have had. But when you look at it on paper, when everyone's fit, and again, I think that's the big F more than anything, is if everyone stays fit, I don't see where he's got a position in that team. But it's a long season. Players, again, Lawrence has been out for however long. It's going to take him a while to get back up to scratch. We don't know what injuries, again, touch wood, we don't have many throughout the season. But I think you do kind of need that big squad. But yeah, still, I wouldn't like to say who. Obviously, we've seen the thing with Scott Wright, doing interviews, getting a move to Turkey, and then coming on again last night. Seems a bit of a strange one. But yeah, I still expect obviously a few out the door. And again, I don't know if the few out the door will then mean maybe still bringing in some more players. Again, I don't know. But yeah, I just don't see there'll be certain players there, similar to the Scott Wright situation, where I think he was told he probably won't get a lot of minutes. I think there'll be a lot of players like that. But again, they may be in positions where they're happy to just do their bit and play as and when, or they may be players that want to go and play first team football. So we'll have to just wait and see.
I did notice that Scott Wright tried to have a new haircut and grow a beard and try to make himself look like Raskin. So maybe he's trying to hide himself in the Rangers team.
Yeah, he's trying something, isn't it?
He's trying his hardest to stay.
Yeah, he's obviously gone and had a chat, hasn't he? Because they were quite, to be fair with Bill and everything's open, isn't it? They were quite open.
Yeah.
Bill said he's gone to have a chat, see what he's like. He's obviously gone there and not liked it, hasn't he? And obviously we've got quite an array of ex-players that have tried Turkey and not liked it. So maybe it was the same thing. I mean, especially with getting rid of Sakala's pace and that, I'm at the stage where, say you gave me a list of half a dozen, I don't think I'd want Scott Wright to go at the moment without bringing anyone else in. And I don't really know, and it's just for that pace option, to be honest. Our lead attackers, none of them seem to have half a yard of pace. And that's not me saying that before the not got wide men either. And that's not me saying before the transfer window I would have been upset if Scott Wright had left. But with what I'd seen pre-season and what I've seen with our options, we don't seem to have that option to go to a wide man even if we wanted to. And
Yeah,
Scott Wright's good enough for the Scottish League, isn't he? So I mean, I think we need that option.
Yeah, I've got to agree. I think the thing, and again, thinking further down the line, that on the basis that obviously I hope that we qualify for the Champions League or whatever European tournament we end up in. I think when we had it last season and season gone by, you always think if we played against a team with a lot of possession, we would always have that out ball, someone with a bit of pace, Kent, something like that. I look at, say, the team that started yesterday, and if we're playing against a team, again, I know it won't happen that many times throughout the season, but if we play against a team that are going to have a lot of possession and we're going to have to hit them on the counter, I don't necessarily see where that pace is coming from.
No, not got that old school sort of round the back, clear it out. The ball seems to be coming straight back, doesn't it? At the moment, it looks like it
100%.
looks like we're not going to have an out ball.
Yeah, and we saw it. To be fair, we saw it last season. Again, I know playing against real good teams in the Champions League, but But I think that was where a lot of criticism came on Tillman, was because Tillman was expected to take that ball from the 18-yard box and somehow make it to the halfway line. Our 18-yard box and make it to the halfway line would get cut out, and a lot of times because he just lacked that pace. And I imagine we're going to have those same challenges. But again, Beale knows a lot more about football than we do, and I'm sure he's obviously sort of thought about these things. But yeah, time will tell. If we get into a position where we're playing really good teams in the Champions League, I'll be happy either way.
Yeah.
That's the main goal, isn't it?
Exactly.
Callum, we'll probably not have a chance to speak to you before Saturday, so you've got the magic wand. Which is going to be your team for Saturday, mate? The usual back five that we've had so far this season. In reality, is again, can you get your boys' thoughts? Is Jack undroppable after the way he played at the weekend?
Yeah, if fitness doesn't come into it, I think Jack plays, doesn't it?
Definitely, yeah. That is a big $1 million question.
Yeah, I'd maybe start the new boy, just give him a run. But then again, do you want to, if he's a sitter, do you want to sit with do you want to have two holding midfielders if he plays that position? Again, Raskin, this is the thing. I'm trying to think of a team, but already I've kind of put three, I suppose, players that could be classed as sitting midfielders. I think Danilo and Dessers, I think it'll be the same front three, Danilo, Dessers and Lammers. I really like Lammers. I think he looks very skillful. I definitely think he's a number 10. And yeah, I suppose the three in the middle, I don't really know, to be really honest. I think it's open for discussion. As long as they win, that's all I care about.
Again, probably not get a chance to speak to you before Saturday, mate. So you want to give us your team, mate?
Yeah, it's gonna be the same back five, but then it's how you go for it. Isn't it? Obviously, right away we've gone with Jack's undroppable, but then I could see myself sitting there Saturday saying, "How negative is that playing Ryan Jack at home to Livingston?" Like I could see myself doing it right away, but saying he's undroppable. So I'm gonna disagree with what I just said and said we're gonna rest him up for Tuesday night because I think he's undroppable how he played. So we want him to be 100% fit. I think you might see Raskin maybe holding, or possibly you might even see Dow holding to give Raskin a game. Dow there, and then I think you'll have Cantwell and Cifuentes. I think he'll play from the start. I think Bill sort of said he can play as like a number 8, gets down the sides, like getting in the box. So I think he might give him a run out and see how we can do attacking. And then I think the only change you might see up front is I think Seema will get a start, and I think it might be for Dezers. Just to give him a rest, give him half an hour, and then Dezers will be playing on Tuesday night. But just to sort of, if he's not fit, and maybe the games might be too quick. So I think you might see Seema, Lammers, and Danilo playing as the 9.
That's where I think between the forward line and the midfield is going to be the changes. That back 5 is definitely solid now, isn't it? It's that's kind of your set in stone, depending if injuries change and stuff like that. But I would say like you're going to have Suter, Golson, Tav, Borner, and Butland obviously at your back. The midfield for me, I think if Jack's not going to start, then I can see him probably going back to his tried and trusted man, which would be Lundstrom. Lundstrom will go in there, which is not my pick, but I've got a feeling he would fire him in there, and then you're going to have, I would hope again, you'd have Raskin and Cantwell, and then you're up front. I would go with your Lammers. I would go with Danilo and Dessers again, just to try and get this match fitness that they're talking about and pace up, and then maybe just again, as the game goes on, hopefully it's a cricket scored by half time and we can swap Seema on for either Danilo or Dessers throughout the game. But it's the choices. We've got to keep everybody happy. Haji's not had a lot of game time either. I mean, I can imagine Roof's coming back, aye. And let's face it, Haji's dad is quite outspoken when his boys not getting game time and stuff like that. So I can see that starting to creep in at some point as well. So
what does his dad know? What does his dad know about football?
I know. How dare you talk to Michael Beale about tactics?
What does he know about? Is no one having Dow then at the moment? What are you thinking of Dow then? Kieran Dow, you got told he was starting. Is it underwhelming? Have you not seen enough? What do you think? We should just be a better team without him?
For me, I still don't really know what position what position he plays. Do you know what I mean? He seemed, the Kilmarnock game, I just thought he didn't really know what to do. I thought at times the game just seemed to pass him by. Again, like a few of the players, but I thought I was assuming that he was coming in as like a Scott Arfield type player, you know, that kind of, not necessarily a 10, but just someone that can sit in the midfield and make those late runs into the box. But again, he's played. Did he play? How long did he play the majority of the game against Kilmarnock?
An hour 70.
And I was like, yeah, fine. So he's still, yeah, like anything, these boys are all new. I think it's easy to, sometimes the worst, it's easy to judge players so early on. But let's see where we're at after 10 games. And then we can start, I suppose, passing proper judgment on some of these boys.
Aye. JM, for me, for Doyle, he's got something about him. I mean, even at Kilmarnock, he had a couple of nice moments. He had that shot and goal as well. Again, he's just not a player that I don't think settled yet. And I think it's important for the team now to just win games and allow these guys time to settle where they can, kind of thing, where they can get their minutes. I just think it's important that the pressure needs to kind of settle a wee bit on Michael Beale, that if he's winning games, that will be the main thing now. We'll worry about the performance later, kind of thing. So I think the way we played that first half last night, I would hope the manager would go with that again and just try and build a wee bit momentum for that, and then eventually start dripping players in that are trying to grab minutes. But again, it's Livingston. We shouldn't be fearful, like you say, JM. I think we should be playing our most attacking team that we can, and looking to get the game finished by half time to allow, like you say, players to come on the park after bench.
Yeah, especially with 5 subs, it gives you a real opportunity, doesn't it? I mean, we can't be arrogant enough to say that we should have every game won by half time. But we never seem to get any of these home games, any of these sort of dead rubbers done by half time, do we? We always seem to maybe edge 1 or 2 goals, and then the other teams nick a goal, and then we're bothering. And then obviously the manager's not wanting to make a change. And then again, you're in a situation where Hadji only gets 5 minutes, Wright only gets 5 minutes. And if them starters have done them jobs, these boys could be getting half an hour. And it must make a big difference to confidence and feel-good factor as well. It's got to, because half an hour, better chance of grabbing a goal, making an impression. It all sort of adds up. So a bit of luck. We start well on Saturday. A few goals in. We might get to see a couple of more of these guys get more than 10 minutes of a competitive game.
Callum, it allows them to build relationships as well, isn't it? And get an understanding of how players play. If they get a wee bit of, like JM saying, half an hour to 35 minutes, it would be nice, because if they don't get that, then let's say try to scrap about for 10 minutes to get an understanding of a guy you've hardly played with is no ideal.
No, 100%. Like pre-season and training, there's only really so much you can get at compared to a competitive game. I think, it's one of those things. In reality, I think if we want to be, let's be realistic, the teams in the lower end of the SPL, in reality, aside from Celtic, the games at home, we should be, but the time we won, the year we won the league, we were blowing teams away. Like, the majority of games were done by half time, and I think that should be the way that we can start building relationships a little bit quicker, is just getting games finished as quickly as possible, and then again it gives you a chance to rest some of the key players, especially if we've got a big game midweek. But give some of those fringe players, your Roofs, your Hadjis, a chance to do something, because in reality, if they're getting 10 minutes at the end of a game, are they going to, have they got that chance to make much improvement? I don't really know. I don't think so in reality.
Yep, mate. Right, we're into the last 10 minutes of the show, so as if you are wanting to give us a wee phone call and make some points on the game last night, you are more than welcome. 0141 356 1972. boys, I'll just bring up this last wee topic. It's been swirling about the team all pre-season, and it's the Lammers-Cantwell debate. Folks saying they can't play together, folks saying it should be Cantwell in the 10. Did last night put that myth to bed that the two of them can actually play in the same team together and contribute to the team? Because I would much rather have the two of them on the park than only one of them on the park.
Yeah, personally, I think so. I think Cantwell can pick up that ball in the midfield, kind of plays like an 8, and drive with the ball. I think Lammers looked yesterday, he's good with his back to goal. You know, just outside the 18-yard box. He's a big boy. He can turn. He's got a few, again, he looks pretty skillful as well, like he can take on a player. But yeah, in reality, when I look at them, I think they're completely different players, personally.
JM, do you think the myth's been put to bed that the two of them can play in the same team together?
I think so. I think a lot of the concerns were maybe people were thinking, whereas, especially if them two were playing further forward, where's your pace coming from? And they're a bit similar. But like Callum said there, I think Cantwell's more than capable of playing in that sort of deeper midfield 3, isn't he? He can pick it up, he can ping long balls, he can play the short passes, he can run on. And I think, even though I know Cantwell did chip in with a few goals actually last year, but I think Lammers looks a more natural sort of box player. I mean, I know going on last night, that's it. I could shoot myself in the foot, but I mean, in general, his instinct is more when the ball goes out wide to Tav to burst into the box, and with his stature. Whereas I think Cantwell's sort of on the edge, looking for scraps, either looking to get sort of a shot off or just recycling the ball. So no, I definitely think if them two are playing in the same team all season and playing well, we're not going to go far wrong.
No, I agree. I think it's the good thing is, Callum, with the amount of competition that we've round off the night that's in the team now, that if Lammers has got to do crazy stuff like they misses, he won't be able to hold on to the shot. There'll be somebody else there nipping his heels trying to take that shot. So it is up to him, and it's up to, again, like all the players, to prove their worth when they're on that pitch.
100%. And again, like I think we touched on earlier, we had seasons gone by. I never really got excited about seeing the lineup to a game, because maybe bar from one player, you knew exactly who was going to play. It was going to be the same old team. And I think, yeah, a lot of these boys now, I think Beale's touched on it before, that no one's position is certain. If you're not cutting it, you won't be in the team. And I think, yeah, especially in that sort of maybe like 10 position where you've got players like Hadji, you want it where, as a fan, you want it where, look, if he's not cutting it, you want to be excited about another player coming in. But again, we're still relatively early on in the season. I think there's a little bit of uncertainty that if Lammers maybe has a bit of a bad game, am I that confident about Hadji coming in from, again, he's been out for a while, hasn't been given that time. I just hope we get to a point where you've got at least 2 players in each position that you're really confident that they can step in. Because players have dips throughout the season. Do you know what I mean? They're only human. Even the top players make mistakes and have dips in form. So yeah, you can't. We don't want to be in a position where we're so reliant on certain players that if someone is again missing chances, if you look at your number 9s, your Danilos, your Dessers, that your Roofs and stuff can step up when needed. So yeah, it's exciting.
Jay, I mean, the way Callum's touched on there, like say a Roof and stuff like that, our striking options is pretty strong in that sense. So again, that competition for places in that striking role, like say Dessers, Sima, Danilo, Lammers and stuff like that, if somebody in there's not cutting it, you've got a pretty good replacement to come in behind you.
Yeah, lots of numbering options, but like you say, striking options. But we have shipped out a lot of goals, haven't we? This transfer window, through free transfers or through people going away. So it's a lot of goals between them. So these guys need to be chipping in with a good, 10-minute, like the attacking midfielders, a good 10 to 15 each. Obviously, hopefully, we're not going to be as reliable on one striker. But obviously, for the 4 or 5 years, really, apart from Kolat there at the start of that season, we were relying on Morelos for years, wasn't we? Whereas hopefully now that's going to shift, and you might get maybe 2 or 3 of them chipping in with 15 plus, instead of hoping that Alfie's going to get 20 plus and Tab's going to score another 15 from right back. But no, hopefully, Bruce can stay fit. Go on.
After you.
No, go on. I was just going to go.
I was just going to say, I think, again, when you look at other positions, I'm just thinking you don't want to break down a back four in terms of the more they can play, obviously the better. But we've seen with Suter, injury worries, Goldson was obviously out for a while. You look at even the backup options we've got at centre back. Obviously, if Leon King, if he's back fit, I know Balogun's kind of been brought in, well, seems to be brought in as a replacement. Ben Davies may not be here. If the rumours are true, he might not be here for much longer. But again, I think you look at games, especially the league games at home. Do we need to be playing two main centre backs for 90 minutes every week that we tended to do previously a lot of the time because we just didn't have backup players to come in?
No, I've always been sort of one for that, and then I know Gio especially done it. Didn't
play centre back.
He played Lundstram there a couple of times, didn't he? Lundstram could fill in there, or obviously we've got Sterling as well, haven't we? Who I think can sort of be a bit of a utility man across the whole back four, can't he? Now I agree. If you're 2-3 up and you've got someone like Goldson who obviously had such a run with playing, but like anyone else, he's picking up knocks. And if he is that reliable, why are we wasting him why are we not wasting him, but why are we risking him for an extra half an hour? Surely it makes sense if it's going to be Suter and Goldson, who I'd be happy if it was Suter and Goldson all season, to be honest. It's going to be them where we want to give them a rest. But I also wonder if they get a clean sheet bonus if they play 90 minutes.
There'll be something involved in that. Well, the presser's tomorrow, so hopefully we'll find out soon. Callum, mate, it's getting to that time of night. Final thoughts from yourself, bud? Are you feeling more positive than you were at the weekend there?
Yeah, 100%. I think the first half, obviously up into the penalty, I thought was really, really good. I think, as strange as it sounds, I don't think the sending off helped us. I think we would have scored more playing against 11 men. But like anything, they went down to 10. They've got a big second leg coming up. So they were just putting every man behind the ball. But yeah, I'm confident. As I say, if they've got as many good players coming back from injury as they seem to be saying, it's not going to be an easy game. But look, if we want to do something domestically or in Europe, if we can't get past these guys, then we don't really have a chance. So yeah, fingers crossed. I'm confident, and on to the weekend.
JM, are you oozing of positivity now?
Absolutely. Now, yeah, I think we saw enough. I think we saw enough on Wednesday, didn't we, to see it was going in the right direction. Definitely a lot better than Saturday. Players and managers are still saying the right things after the game. They weren't kidding themselves. They wasn't. What I liked is they wasn't as angry as Saturday, but they were still disappointed. They never carried on. So that's positive for me that the players know there's still more to come. And a bit of luck, we see some of that on Saturday.
Brilliant, lads. Callum, thanks very much for your call, buddy. Great points tonight, mate. And as the famous Ox says, don't be a stranger, buddy.
Love it. Cheers, boys.
Cheers, Callum. Thank you, mate.
JM, mate, thanks for being beside us tonight, mate. Brilliant points on the match, and we'll catch you soon, bud.
Yeah, nice one. Cheers, Eddie. Well done, mate. Cheers.
Fox and Old School Blue, thanks for all the technicals tonight. This has been Rangers Radio. We'll be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, and I think you'll be joined by Southside. Good night.